Good afternoon. Let's talk politics, because there's a question mark over the future of HS2, High Speed 2. Up until now, there's been all-party backing for the high-speed rail line due to be built through Buckinghamshire. But Labour have cast doubt on that, saying it'll cancel the huge project if costs escalate. Our political reporter, Robin Chrystal, is at the Labour Party conference in Brighton, because he knows how to have a good time. Afternoon, Robin.
Afternoon, Roberto.
This news will please a lot of people in Buckinghamshire. Does this move have the potential to derail the project, which was Labour's project in the first place?
It does, and it's ironical because you're right, it was Labour's big idea, but potentially it does. Only yesterday, Maria Eagle, Labour's transport spokesman, said if we don't implement this north-south line on time and on budget, we're going to be presiding over a decade of decline in our railways. Yet today, Ed Balls, Labour's shadow chancellor, says there'll be no blank cheque from me if I'm chancellor for this project or any other. The question is not whether a high-speed rail line is a good or a bad idea, but whether it's the best way to spend £50 billion. And within half an hour, his number two, Rachel Reeves, said,
"We will cancel it if we did not think it was good value for money and the costs continue to rise. The government have got to get a grip and get the costs under control."
Now, Labour aren't in power, so you may say, well, what does it matter? Well, it matters because this is a project which will last 20, 30 more years, and Labour could well be in power at the start of that, because the next election is only a couple of years away. So this is quite a big move, potentially, by Labour.
And how much political room for manoeuvre is there on this, Robin? Because the government's already given the go-ahead for HS2.
Well, the go-ahead to the very first stage, and you'll know, Roberto, in Buckinghamshire, how strong the opposition is, and part of that first stage is to deal with compensation for those who are directly affected because they live along the line. But it's only after that next election that the actual act of Parliament to make shovels go into the ground and start the process of building that line will begin. And let's just remind us what we're talking about here, a line from London to Birmingham that would cut the journey time from 1 hour and a half to just 49 minutes. Trains 14 an hour in both directions, travelling at 250 miles an hour, with seats for over 1,000 people.
So why is Labour having this change of heart? They must have known about the cost when they had Lord Adonis come up with the idea.
They did know about the costs, although, to be fair, the costs have risen twice since then, and we're now at this figure of 50 billion and rising. The reason is that down here at Brighton on the sea, what they're trying to do is project an image of a Labour Party that we can trust again to run the economy. And as part of that, they say, well, we can hardly let the potential expenditure of £50 billion go without being properly checked. And what Ed Balls is saying is, I want the same body, the independent body that checks all the government spending, to look at our spending, and that means also looking at that £50 billion cost. The government has said they're still going ahead with it. There's a lot of anger, though, out there. The British Chamber of Commerce, for one, is saying that Labour appears to be losing its nerve over a vital rail project.
Robin, live in Brighton. Just to make sure, they do know it was their idea in the first place.
They do know it was their idea.
Okay.
There's a bloke called Lord Adonis. We've been pestering him for give us a quote. He's suddenly become very reticent. He won't say anything.
There's a surprise. Thank you, Robin Chrystal, joining us live from the Labour Party conference in Brighton. It was Lord Adonis, the unelected minister that Tony Blair put in place, who came up with the original idea of HS2. It was Labour's idea. Now they're saying they don't like it.